creative friends. This is Joy. So, this is my junk journal that I created for 2022, and I've got it all the cover painted and the signatures sewn into it. And I found a little white tie in my stash. I don't even know where it came from, but I was trying to find something to hold it closed, and it seemed to work. So, if you want to see how I put this together so far, then go back and watch the previous couple of parts to me creating my junk journal for 2022. So here I'm going through and I'm inking up the pockets so that you can tell that there is a pocket. I already punched out half of a moon in those pockets, but I wanted them to stand out more. And I'm just kind of showing you as I'm flipping through, what I have in this journal. I have some, you know, things that fold out, and I have in the middle of each signature, which I'm really happy about. I have quite a few pockets, and in the middle of each signature, I have a gold envelope where I completely enclosed the binding and the knot to where I tied the binding closed in that gold envelope. So it's kind of like a hidden binding on the inside. So I love that. And so here, my camera cut off, but I'm just showing you that I went through, and for the other pockets in here, I went ahead and inked up the edges. And I didn't do a half moon on the pockets with flaps or ink them, but I did end up going back through and doing that as I was putting this together. So what I want to do now is go through the remainder of all this junk mail that I have, because this whole thing has been completely created out of junk mail that I've been stashing. But now I want to go through the junk mail that I have left and try to find things to fit in the pockets that I can decorate later. Like this piece here looks like it goes perfectly in here. But I notice that, I want to have that half moon cut out there on that pocket so I can see, a little bit better, and it'll be a little bit easier to reach in there to get whatever's in there. The material that this envelope was made out of is awfully thin, so I was having a little bit of trouble punching it because it really wasn't wanting to punch through such thin material. But I managed to, you know, get it punched enough so I could cut the rest of it off. On the other side of this envelope, I did end up trying to put a piece of paper behind it when I punched it. That kind of sort of worked, not really, which you'll see that in a minute. But yeah, so here I'm just trying to find, again, pieces of junk that I can, stick in these pockets. So when I go to decorate in this journal, I already have things in the pockets that I can pull out and decorate as well. And again, some of these had that sticky stuff on them, like most junk mail usually has. So if they had that, then I was cleaning that off of the junk mail. So yeah, here I try to punch, and again, it's not really punching. So I try to put a piece of paper behind it or in front of it. I don't remember which to try to punch, see if that would help punch through. And I didn't quite get it in the same place, and so it kind of and it didn't really completely. It still didn't punch through, but whatever. I made it work. I'm like, well, it's not gonna be perfect, but who cares? It's a junk journal, right? And the point of it is just to have fun creating. And actually, this pocket, or this, pocket that I made with this envelope, could probably fit a lot more in it than what I actually put in it because it's kind of expands quite a bit, but I don't think it needs to have a lot of stuff put in it. I don't know, maybe later I might add more to it. Um, more to these pockets. I don't know, probably not. I think, what I've put in there is good enough, for that. And so here's another pocket. And again, I didn't originally ink or punch these, but I did decide that it would probably be a good idea to do that on these. So I thought I had, put a, yeah, I think I did go back and punch those, but we'll see with the circle punch. So here, yeah, see when you push it down in there, it's like, how are you going to pull it out if you can't get down in there to get it? I mean, I guess you can, but in any case, I did go back through and punch the circles, and you'll see that in a minute. So I continue, like I said, going through my junk mail, trying to figure out what to add to this junk journal, cleaning off any stickiness that I'm finding. And this one here sticks up kind of far, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just cut it down. Not a big deal. So I mark, where I want to cut it down to, or where I thought I wanted to cut it down to, and cut that off. But then when I put it in the pocket, I'm like, well, it's, better, and it's about at the top of the pages, but it still sticks up kind of far. And so I don't know, I just felt like it needed to be cut down even more, so I cut it down a little bit more, so it just, didn't stick up so far. So that was, better for me. I like that. And so I cut that down more, and here is another pocket, and I decided to do the half, circle punch there and ink it. And, I mean, eventually these will be covered up, so I don't know. Yeah, the inking may or may not show. And then again, I may end up going back through and re-inking them if I end up covering them up. But in any case, yeah, here I really like these. It's like I was thinking when I'm decorating, I'm like, I don't know if I want to cover these up. But yeah, I'll probably do something with them when I go to decorate the journal. So again, I found, something else, another mailing that would, go in there, or that I thought would go in there. But I guess I had to find something else that wasn't quite as wide that would fit. So I'm just searching, for through the rest of this junk mail to see what I can find that I, think will fit in here. And I guess I decided to put this one in here, and I may end up changing up some of this later. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. And here I'm punching it. At least a little bit of that, a circle into it. And here's another pocket. Trying to find something to fit in it. And what I do like, though, that this has really used up a lot of that junk mail that I had piling up. And I had been collecting, and I'd been actually wanting to do this for a long time. Create a junk journal out of all this junk mail. And I have like a whole bunch, which you'll see that in, next, some of the next recordings when I go to decorate the cover and then decorate the pages. I have a ton of ephemera from magazines um, that I have in, quite a few different boxes that, I got and I really liked. And so I need to, use that up too, find a place to use that all up. And here's another small envelope, and it's like, I like this and I want to use it in the junk journal. But, I don't think it's going to fit in any of the pockets. So I'm going to save some of the smaller ones where I can maybe use those as an interactive element on a page as I'm going through decorating this junk journal. So, yeah, some of these smaller um, mailers and stuff I think will work great on a page. We'll see. I actually, and you'll see here in a minute, I create a couple of pockets at the front and at the back, on the front cover and on the back cover, so I could put some of these extra pieces of junk mail in order to make additional tags out of, and or to add, to pages as I go along, creating pages. So yeah, and apparently this one I'm having a little bit of a trouble finding something that'll fit. And I believe what I end up doing, well, we'll see, because nothing seems to be, to be the right size. I think what I end up doing is, what do I end up doing? This one? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think this one here I end up sticking in the pot in this pocket. But I'm trying to clean off all of the stickiness or whatever on it. There's a lot of stickiness on it. Yep, that fits perfectly. Good. Finally found something to fit in there. Punching the half circle there and inking it up. Nope, I guess I don't ink it up. So now I want to, and I guess I didn't go back and punch the half circle in that one envelope. Interesting. Well, maybe I do. I thought I did. I must have missed it. We'll see. So anyway, yeah, all these little smaller ones, I was like, these would be so much fun to use in the journal as I go. Again, to as I go along and decorate as little interactive elements in this journal. So I want to kind of save, some of these to add. And so it's like I got to thinking, well, I need a pocket to put them in. So how do I go about, making a pocket to put them in? And so I decided, there's several ways you could do this. I could either, get like a piece of cardstock and make some pockets out of that, or like I decided, what? And some of these like bigger pieces I can make tags out of, because eventually I want to put like a nice size tag in the front pocket and in the back pocket, or a, maybe a couple different tags in the front and back pocket whenever I get, to the point where I've just about completed decorating this book. So I want to save some of those bigger um, junk mail for that, because they'd make nice big tags. And so then I thought, well, actually, this would be great material, or, one of these would be really good material to make the pocket out of, because it's nice and sturdy. And so that's what I ended up doing. If I get to that point, actually, come on now. Here's something else I guess I decided I was going to save in case I wanted to use it in here. And cutting off, it had like those little circles stuck onto it. And then when I tried to peel them off, it was peeling up part of the paper. And so it was like, what do I do? So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just leave them on there. And then it had some, some of it that need to be trimmed off. So yeah, okay. So that envelope, I thought, well, might work for a pocket, but I'm like, no, it's not going to work. So here we go. I can use this, I figured, to make pockets if I can figure out how to open it. So yeah, that would make a pocket, right? That looks like it would work. So here's what I did. Of course, I had to cut it in half, and I thought, well, I want to be able to, for it to hold, quite a few things. So I put it on my page. I said, how wide can I make this pocket? And so I marked it. I put it on there and I marked it where the folds were so that I knew how wide I could make the pocket. And basically, and I did that on the front with the other piece. So that's how wide I can make each pocket to fit on the front and the back. So basically, because I want to put a lot in these pockets, I was like, well, I need to allow room for it to expand, right? So here I kind of fold it and then I accordion. I fold it back and then fold it back again, so it's kind of like an accordion. And I do that on the other side. I fold it and then I fold it back, and that was kind of long, and I could have left it, but I trimmed off a little bit of that because I'm like, well, it's a little bit of excess, so we don't need all that. And then I folded up the bottom to however deep I wanted my pocket. So whatever the excess was, see, I was like figuring out, now how deep do I want the pocket? And then I folded up the bottom. So this is how big my pocket's going to be. And then I needed to trim off any excess, so I trimmed off the sides at like a little bit of an angle. And I trimmed off like the excess on the bottom flap. So I cut that off, and then I cut the excess off the side at a little bit of an angle like that. So I cut the excess and then cut it again. So that way the bottom is just one layer and not multiple layers, if that makes sense. And then I angled a little bit on those corners so that stuff didn't get caught as I'm trying to put them in the pocket. So that's going to be my pocket for the front. And that will hold quite a bit of these extra little pieces in there. See, you could put a lot in there. So I was happy with that. So I got my Aleene's tacky glue, and I put a little bit of glue to glue the bottom to the sides. And I need that one side I need to cut a little bit more off because it seemed like it was bunching up there. And so I glued that, and then I put glue all the way around on the flaps that were left, and then glue that to my cover. So that's what I'm doing here, is adding some glue, the Aleene's tacky glue, which I think will work good. It usually works pretty good at gluing things. And then I glued that down on my front cover. And then what I did was I put a book on top of it, and I made sure that it wasn't interfering with me closing the book, because that would not be good. And I put a book on it and let it like dry overnight. So the next day, here's my pocket. It's all dry now, and so I put my little ones in there that I wanted, and here's the one for the other side. So I basically did the same. I folded it again, and then folded it back on itself. Made like an accordion. Did the same on the other side. And then folded up the bottom for the depth that I wanted it. I kind of wanted to match how deep I had the front, so I kind of eyeballed it to where I wanted that and then folded that up. But it seemed like I needed to fold it up even higher, so I did end up folding it up higher than that because it seemed like the front one was folded up higher, so I did fold it up a little bit higher. And when I went to, um, you'll see here in a minute, when I went to try to, check that it was not interfering, and here I cut off the excess on the bottom. And when I try to like check to see, okay, is it interfering with me with any of the, it closing or whatnot, it did seem like it was a little wider because there was some kind of interference. So I ended up having to fold it in again, which you'll see that here in a minute. So I'm checking and I'm like, is this going to work? And I see right there where it's like bumping up against it. I wanted to have a little bit more clearance than that. It's like, no, that's not going to work. So I kind of refolded that one side just a little bit to give me a little bit more clearance and then cut off the excess. And then again, I used the Aleene's Tacky Glue and then checked it again, and I'm like, well, that's better. It's giving me more room now there. And so again, I used the Aleene's Tacky Glue to glue both sides for the bottom and then put glue all the way around it. That one side was sticking out just a little too far. And then put glue all the way around to glue that, make sure that glued down really good. And this bottle of Aleene's Tacky Glue is like, gosh, I don't know how old it is. I actually stole it from my my mother. I seen it in her house, and I'm like, yeah, I could use this. I'll take it because I know she ain't gonna use it for nothing. She's just gonna let it sit there and get old. It was already old. So yeah, so I did glued that down, put a book on top, and let that dry overnight. Actually, it was like dry over the week because by then I was out of time. I only get to actually do anything creative on the weekends. So when I came back, it was all glued down. There's the bigger ones I put in there. So if you want to go back and see how I made the initial junk journal, you can see the previous videos. And the next video, I'll show you how I go about decorating the front of the cover. And again, here's the tie I found. I don't know where it came from, but I thought it worked pretty good. And I thought, well, I can always change it later, and I like it. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.